Good morning, everyone. I'm Kylie Miller, one of the executive producers of Chapman News. My co-executive producer, Satvi Sankara, is flying home this morning, but this message is from both of us, as well as from our journalism professor, Brett Marcus. Before we start our show today, we wanted to give you an update on our situation. Chapman University and Dodge College have shut down, meaning that our usual live broadcast is no longer possible. However, we want to continue to provide you with up-to-date, reliable information, so we will be producing this podcast every Friday. We have more than a dozen Chapman News reporters and editors covering the coronavirus, and we'll keep you up to date with how all of this is changing our lives. Brett, Satvi, and I want to thank our team, all of whom are handling this change with professionalism, passion, and diligence. And we want to thank you for going on this journey with us. We will get through this time together, and we're hoping we can keep you well informed along the way. So without further delay, let's get started.
Good afternoon, I'm Kim Becker, and this is Chapman News, the podcast. Let's get started with the day's major headlines. This just in this morning. The Trump administration has confirmed that it will be closing the U.S.-Mexico border to all non-essential travel. Also this morning, Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin announced that tax day has been moved to July 15th, giving Americans an additional 3 months to file their income returns. Big news out of California. All Californians, 40 million of us, have been ordered to stay home to stop the spread of the coronavirus. This order came from Governor Gavin Newsom. Newsom also predicting there could be 25 million people infected in the state of California before the end of May. More than 200,000 people around the world have contracted the virus, and there have been more than 8,700 deaths globally. Italy has now surpassed China in the number of deaths. In the U.S., now 13,000 people diagnosed with the virus, with more than 190 deaths. The worst may be yet to come, with major legislation passing in D.C. this week. And the economy continues to tank. Starting Monday, the trading floor will shut down. All trading will be done online. Many have been laid off, and unemployment offices are packed. There's a major shortage of medical gear, testing kits, surgical masks, gloves, and respirators everywhere. New York Mayor Bill de Blasio is warning that New York could run out of these crucial items in just 2 to 3 weeks. Doctors are rethinking who's vulnerable, and now they're thinking it's not just the elderly, but young people are vulnerable as well. That means you, Chapman students. They're also thinking the health protocols may last longer than expected. Justin Edmonton has been following what else our doctors are saying. Here is his report.
You're absolutely right when you say that young people are vulnerable as well. Thursday, the CDC reported that around 40% of the patients that require hospitalization are between the ages of 20 and 54. But many young people are not taking this seriously, as hundreds of thousands still decided to celebrate spring break on Miami beaches, disregarding the social distancing recommendations released by the government and the various World Health Organizations. Medical experts are advising everyone to practice social distancing, frequent hand washing, coughing into elbows, limiting time outdoors, and to work remotely if at all possible. Some are saying that the healthcare system in the US seems likely to become overwhelmed like in Italy and China. Some states are taking precautionary steps in order to prepare for the surge of hospital patients. California is in negotiations with 900 hotels in order to acquire rooms for overflow patients and the homeless, who are at extremely high risk of contracting COVID-19. Many other states may soon follow California's lead. President Trump has stated that these emergency protocols could last until late summer, while other organizations believe that it could potentially extend into next year. We will keep you updated on this developing story. I'm Justin Edmondson for Chapman News.
Thanks, Justin. This week, we've seen universities and cities all around the United States close their doors and move to online classes. Chapman University has been no different. Nina Hatton has our report with the biggest changes on Chapman's campus.
Over the course of the week, Chapman University and the City of Orange have continued to implement more quarantine measures. Chapman campus is now closed, with all employees working remotely, In the Circle, the local shops that many students use as a workplace are now either closed or have new hours. Many wondered with campus closures, what will happen to those who live in the dorms? Chapman is now urging students to go home if they can, but you can petition to stay on campus if you have nowhere else to go. Those who decide to leave and clear out their rooms will receive a refund from the school. However, no educational refunds will be given to students who continue with online classes. Reporting on the latest from Chapman and the City of Orange, for Chapman News, I'm Nina Hatton.
Thanks, Nina. This health crisis is not just a local problem. It's a world problem, an American problem. Our Michael Kurabit has been following events in Washington, D.C. Here's his report.
It's been a week of change in the world, and especially in D.C. The House, Senate, and the President all threw their support behind the Families First Coronavirus Response Act, which will provide workers with free coronavirus testing, paid medical leave, unemployment aid, and nutrition assistance. After passing through both houses of Congress, President Trump signed the bill late Wednesday night, showing how fast things get done when there's bipartisan support. The Senate also passed legislation that would give Americans direct payments of anywhere from $200 to $2,400, depending on marital and dependent status. Republicans have produced a more modest plan. While the bills are also receiving bipartisan support, the details are still unclear, like who qualifies for assistance, the frequency, and how to receive payment. But legislators working in such close proximity may in fact be spreading the virus among themselves. 2 members of the House tested positive for COVID-19, and many others are self-quarantined. While most lawmakers have closed their offices and sent staff home, representatives are still required to meet in person. In fact, just days ago, 404 lawmakers gathered to vote on coronavirus legislation. But since the virus reached Capitol Hill, more legislators are pushing for remote voting. The average ages of House members is about 57, and the Senate is about 62, making the risk of infection even higher for our elected officials. In a press conference held Thursday, President Trump commented on the effect of coronavirus on Congress.
I know all of them. They tested positive. Hopefully they're all going to get better. And it's one of those things. It's Congress, it's one of those things.
At the same press conference, Trump said it is the responsibility of the states to obtain medical supplies. The president called the current situation uncharted territory and dubbed coronavirus the invisible enemy, with Trump declaring himself a wartime president.
I view it as in a sense, a wartime president. I mean, that's what we're fighting. I mean, it's a very tough situation. You have to do things. You have to close parts of an economy that 6 weeks ago were the best they've ever been. We had the best economy we've ever had. And then one day you have to close it down in order to defeat this enemy. But we're doing it, and we're doing it well.
With so much uncertainty, the president is facing backlash from all sides about his handling of the pandemic. NPR reports that 60% of Americans do not trust the information they hear from President Trump about the virus. But despite the criticism, Trump officially secured the Republican nomination for the 2020 election. And yes, there is still an election going on. This week on the campaign trail, Joe Biden won Florida, Illinois, and Arizona, bringing his lead over Bernie Sanders up by nearly 300 delegates. After consistent losses in key primary states, Sanders is assessing his campaign, but many are calling for a postponement of future primaries altogether due to virus concerns. Ohio and Kentucky have already rescheduled their primaries to early this summer. Biden is currently polling over 6% ahead of Trump nationwide as the campaign shifts tone from social issues to who is the most effective leader during a crisis. In the midst of politics, primaries, and presidents, please remember to stay safe, practice social distancing, and stay informed. This is Michael Kurabit with your political update for Chapman News.
Thank you, Michael. As I said earlier, Governor Newsom predicts that 25 million people in the state of California could come down with the virus before the end of May. This as the governor asks all of California to stay at home. Our Rudy Juarez Pinero has this story.
California is shutting down. Governor Gavin Newsom ordered all 40 million Californians to stay home. Now, so far, the largest concentration of cases is in the Bay Area, with more than 500 cases across San Francisco, Santa Clara, Alameda, and other counties. Now, the Bay Area, with its 8 million residents, was the first to order a shelter in place. Jennifer Miller, a small business owner, has been hunkered down in her home since early this week. She gave us a glimpse into what life will be like under this statewide lockdown.
Everybody's been very, it's kind of an emotional roller coaster, to be honest with you. And my business being in the downtown, it's a ghost town down there. Businesses are service business like me. I'm out of work.
Livermore, Jennifer's hometown, which is in Alameda County, has shut down all group gatherings. Movies, gyms, schools, and even some government offices are closed. Only essentials like groceries and some retails remain open. Unfortunately, Jennifer's hair salon is considered non-essential.
So I don't know. I'm scared, but I have a really lovely client base, and I'm hoping that a situation like this wouldn't close my business.
It's been difficult, but Jennifer is relieved. Her family and her community are healthy, and they continue to help each other out any way they can.
I am optimistic that this too will end, and we will get a vaccine and look back on this as just an unbelievable time.
Following the latest from the Golden State, I'm Rudy Juarez-Pinedo for Chapman News.
Thanks, Rudy. The president has been calling this virus the China virus, and he's been widely criticized for it. This virus could have started anywhere in the world. China is not to blame, nor is any other country. With more from around the globe, Jada Sandhu has our international report.
There are now over 200,000 confirmed cases of the coronavirus worldwide. The U.S. and Canada have agreed to close their border to all non-essential travel. And due to the travel ban, the U.S. has also suspended refugee admission into this country until April 6th. The European Union has also shut down its borders to all non-essential travel. Now, over in Wuhan, China, people are still restricted to their homes by the government, and Italy, Spain, and the Philippines have followed suit, putting their countries on lockdown. With over 600 cases and 2 deaths, Portugal declared a state of emergency on Wednesday. This will last 15 days. And the second coronavirus death has been confirmed in Turkey. 2 deaths have been confirmed in Pakistan. So far, Libya, Syria, and Yemen are the only Middle Eastern countries that have not reported any cases of coronavirus. The World Health Organization fears this is because they're in the midst of conflict and they don't have the proper resources to address this pandemic. Now, a little bit of good news. Despite the economic downturn, France is saying that no business will collapse from the effects of coronavirus. And they aren't the only European country making this kind of promise. Germany, Spain, and the UK have mobilized hundreds of billions of dollars to give loans to businesses and people affected. Now, despite the devastation left by coronavirus, people are still finding a way to laugh, even if it's just a little bit. In a small Indian town, there is a shop called Corona. And according to the owner, his storefront has now become a selfie destination. Maybe once it's safe to fly again, I'll find my way there. Reporting on the global impacts of this crisis, I'm Jada Sandhu.
Thanks, Jada. As I said earlier, this virus has sent the economy into a deep dive. The Dow Jones has erased all the gains for the past 3 years. Our economic reporter Jared Brosnan has been keeping an eye on the markets for us.
As coronavirus affects the entire way society is going about its daily lives, the lack of work in many industries is decimating the economy. Over the last month, as coronavirus has hit the United States, the Dow Jones Industrial Average has fallen over 10,000 points. Even with the Fed injecting over $1 trillion last week into the stock market, the economy continued to stumble. Areas of business like travel, hotels, airlines, entertainment, and sports are hurting local economies as many cities rely on certain events to fund their entire fiscal year. Gas prices has fallen to under $2 in 12 states as gasoline companies stock like ExxonMobil have fallen almost 50% in the last month. The auto industry has also started to tumble as the big 3 companies in Ford, General Motors, and Chrysler plan to shut down plants at least until the end of March. This week, the White House and Congress agreed on a stimulus package to boost the economy, especially for small businesses and workers during this time. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin announced the bill at a press conference Tuesday.
These will be payments to small businesses. We've talked about loan guarantees to critical industries such as airlines and hotels. And we've also talked about a stimulus package to the American worker.
With your economy update, I'm Jared Brosden.
Thanks, Jared. You're right, the coronavirus has totally upended our lives. If you're looking for relief in going to the movies or catching a game, think again. We have reports from Jules Rector and Carissa Davis.
Hello everyone, it's your entertainment producer, Jules Rector, and even though we're all stuck at home, that doesn't mean I can't bring you your entertainment enlightenment for this week. We're not the only show that's taking a little hiatus from filming. Most live studio audience shows have been canceled or reduced in size as an effort to reduce the spread of coronavirus. Some are suspending production completely for the next couple of weeks, including the late-night talk shows. And with production coming to a halt, many below-the-line workers are losing their jobs and benefits while also dealing with this sweeping pandemic. And theater owners are asking Congress for emergency relief following closures all around the country. These closures have caused a 20-year low for box offices in North America. But don't worry about a lack of content, because luckily a lot of streaming platforms are deciding to release their films early. Some movies that were in theaters before the shutdowns are on track to be released digitally. And if being alone isn't your style, Google Chrome released a new extension this week called Netflix Party that allows you to watch at the same time as your friends while doubling as a chat room for live commentary. I can't wait to check that one out. Well, that was your entertainment enlightenment for this week. I'm Jules Rector, now to Carissa with sports.
Thanks, Jules. Unfortunately, there is not a lot going on in the world of sports right now. All NCAA sports have been canceled, and the NBA, NHL, and MLB have all suspended their seasons. The NBA has seen the largest number of confirmed coronavirus cases among the major U.S. sports leagues. 4 Brooklyn Nets players, including forward Kevin Durant, Donovan Mitchell, and Rudy Gobert of the Utah Jazz, and Detroit Pistons' Christian Wood have all tested positive for the virus. Most recently, 2 Los Angeles Lakers have tested positive, along with Marcus Smart of the Boston Celtics, 3 members of the 76ers, and 1 member in the Denver Nuggets organization. As new cases appear, the league is continuing to test those who have been in contact. Players and organizations have come together to financially support arena workers who were normally paid by the hour during this unexpected circumstance. The NFL saw its first confirmed case yesterday, with New Orleans Saints head coach Sean Payton testing positive for the virus. However, the biggest news from the NFL this week is that the new league year has started and tons of players will be on new teams. Some headlines include Tom Brady signing with the Buccaneers, the Texans trading DeAndre Hopkins to the Cardinals, and the Rams releasing Todd Gurley. While it is still unknown how this virus will progress in the future, sports fans are eager for the return of the professional leagues. The MLB projects that the earliest that their opening day could take place is in mid-May, and NBA Commissioner Adam Silver says a mid to late June return is looking like the best case scenario. Well, that's the latest in sports this week. For Chapman News, I'm Carissa Davis.
Thanks, Carissa and Jules. We tend to focus on the bad news, and there's plenty of it. You've seen those long lines at supermarkets with people hoarding everything from toilet paper to cereal, the basics. But there's a lot of goodwill out there, people making the best out of a bad situation. Here's an example. The choir students at Chino Hills High School got creative this week after their performance was canceled because of the school shutdowns. They released this for all of us to enjoy.
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I dreamed of once in a lullaby.
You can find the rest of this song on the Chino Hills High School Facebook page. That's our report for today. Wash your hands, keep a social distance of 6 feet, and try to stay home, especially if you're sick. We're currently dealing with the unknown, but we will get through this. We'll be back with another update on April 3rd after our spring break. But in the meantime, be sure to check out our social media at Chapman News on Instagram and Facebook. I'm Kim Becker for Chapman News. Stay safe and stay healthy.